So I thought I'll quickly share how I prepare videos. I have a nice AI system working currently. I just got on board with using Claude CLI, and this makes life a lot easier. Basically, with a CLI, which is a command line interface, the AI has access to all of your local files, and also the context for each of the AI tasks is maintained on your local computer. So you're not storing your context somewhere on the cloud. So it's a bit more private. And every time you instantiate it references these context files, and this makes it so that you could potentially swap out AIs. As it's becoming quite a competitive AI landscape, you might not want to be tied in through a vendor lock-in. So this kind of a workflow really helps, and it's been quite exciting. So let me just show you how I do things. So basically, I'll show you with reference to this new video I'm going to prepare and produce some content for to share on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Instagram. In this particular case, I'm going to start with YouTube. So what I do is I set, first of all, before that, I would have a raw folder. I have all of my files, and then I stitch it up in DaVinci Resolve. Then once I have a stitched final product video, I store it in this folder, and then I'm going to copy the path to this folder. And then I'm going to come to my terminal and say, let us execute. You can write it however you want. It's going to get your point, but of course you need to tell it something to do. So let us execute the content creator workflow for this folder. All right, I'm going to copy, paste it, hit enter, and it's going to do its thing. And this is how that looks. Okay, so I don't think it got my request properly, but basically I've set up an agent called the content creator. Let us use the content creator agent and execute its full workflow on this video. Then I'm just going to paste the folder and let's see what happens. Okay, it's still not got it, which is super strange. Let me check. I guess this is what happens when you're demoing stuff. But I know it's there. I'm fairly confident it's set because I've spent quite a few hours trying to fix this. Okay, let me just go back. Okay, and let's say, what global agents do I have? And let's see what it says. I've got a couple. I've been making agents left, right, and center. And let us see. The beauty about having global agents is that you don't need to have it on any specific folder. Like if you were to instantiate a Claude agent instance in a particular movie folder, then all of that context is only in that movie. But I would rather apply it across all my videos and have a general template at the back which has an understanding about what I want to do for each of the videos. So what's happening? Strange stuff. Okay, so here we are in Claude again. This is how it looks when you open up Claude CLI on the terminal. Let's just go to agents, see what agents we have. We have Apana's coding agent and the QGIS scripting agent. Okay, so I found the issue. Basically, some of the agents I'd created, because I've been on a agent creation spree, some of these agents didn't have the proper YAML formatting apparently. So when I was hitting the /agents command, which should list my agents and also intuitively call and execute the commands of that agent when I make a statement like I just showed you, it was not doing that because it didn't have it. So yeah, so now it's also updating my other agents with the proper YAML formatting. You see these tokens here? This is pretty cool because you know how many tokens are being used and if you're going to run into issues. Okay, so apparently it's fixed all three agents by adding the required YAML front matter, as they call it. So now let me run agents and see what we have. Oh man, we still have the same old problem. Well, apparently there was some file permissions, so I'm going to fix that too. Okay, so let's try this again. I'm going to do agents. Yes, now everything is working. So I need the content creator agent. I'm going to view the agent. And this is how it's been programmed. So the context. So you can see there's a lot of instructions here, right? Like the scroll is pretty much endless. I'm going to escape that, go back. Now let's try the analysis of the video. As I mentioned, this is the video which I want to generate the content for. This is an edited video. I'm going to copy the path of that. Content creator agent, run full workflow on this. Perfect. I'll run the content creator agent to process the video and generate content for multiple platforms. And now it's doing its thing. Meanwhile, let me also show you how I sort of manage these agents. Now again, as you might imagine, all of these context files will be getting updated as you figure out nuance. You'll keep adding to it or subtracting from it, and all of these are basically just instructions in natural language stored in markdown files. Before that, let's just quickly accept each of the steps. It wants to transcribe video using Whisper. I've got a script running. You see it here, it's a transcribe.py. So the way I've designed the system is that I just give it an instruction. The AI orchestrates all of the actions. It'll execute a Python script. It'll take the transcription from the video. It'll use its LLM capabilities to synthesize and sort of abstract information from it and then put it into required formats, however I want to make the narrative. So yeah, the permissions right now, let me just go to option 2, which is yes, and don't ask again for source commands in this particular directory. Let me just show you how I do it. So since the markdown files keep increasing, I've committed that Claude agent file, which is a hidden file actually. I've Git initiated it, so I'm tracking all the changes on Git. So for example, so now after it made those changes so that it can be discoverable, you'll see all of those things. This is actually the new coding agent, which has not yet been committed. I'm still fine tuning it before the first commit. But you see the other agents like the blog writer agent. It's got this new YAML front matter, same with everything else. And oh, there is some plugins, known marketplaces. I think I'm going to ignore this folder. Yeah, so that's how using Git can be interesting as well. You'll also know if your actual context and instructions for the agent. So basically an agent is just a set of instructions which will make your interaction with the AI repeatable. So I have agents for different tasks. I have one for content creation. I have one for coding. It'll code it as per my sort of a fractal way of coding, meaning I try to represent the end product being potentially a web app. I try to implement that at the smallest level, and at the smallest level, it's a local instance of that. And on an even smaller level, I can interact directly with it using the Claude CLI. So the Claude CLI will just use the logic scripts. The Claude CLI will also make sure to set up any repo I want using Apana's coding agent in this sort of a structure, so that this logic fits in one place, but it applies for my production, it applies for my local instance, also applies to use directly with Claude. And this makes it so that the logic is solid, it's always being tested. There's no islands of logic, which can sometimes happen and result in poor maintenance. So these are bits I'll always be using, so I would expect that it's going to be up to date. And yes, Git tracking it is important as well. Okay, so now it's asking me to create the versions, asking me whether it should proceed to create versions folder for timestamps. Yes. So here what I've done is I'm creating different timestamp narratives. So if I want to create a narrative of a tutorial, for example, it's going to try to make timestamps in a very granular fashion so that the user who might be looking for a specific way to do something, or in the way I've explained something, he can just use that timestamp. And these timestamps, of course, get included in my YouTube description and sort of makes that very easy to interact with. On the same way, I can make it more general narrative for timestamps, and that'll just have maybe 5 or 6 sections. You have the main starting intro section, and then the main problem statement perhaps, or however it's abstracted what I'm talking about, and it'll make it into fewer timestamps. So all of these are different versions of timestamps. I can just choose to copy and paste it. And yeah, so now it's asking me, do you want to create ripeness with GeoMeasure YouTube description? Indeed, that's exactly what I want to do. Yeah, I'm so thrilled that we're at this stage of AI right now. It's quite interesting. All right, so do you want to create the LinkedIn post? Sure. Let's just see. This is the entire workflow, of course. And the way I've set it is it's going to set my YouTube, my LinkedIn, my Instagram, and asking for the Instagram. Let me go ahead and do that. And let me show you how it looks once it's all done. Let's have a sort of analysis of it. I've also got another cool feature for this content creator tool. I can clip it to a certain narrative. So for example, I've done this whole ramble about God knows what, and that's how I sort of articulate information. I just start speaking, and then the information comes out. It sort of structures itself along the way, and so there might be a lot of irrelevant parts, for example, and I can just ask the AI to clip or give me segments of my video which are actually the meat, without the filler words, filler sentences, the segues. Perhaps if I just want to be very specific to what I'm talking about, I can say, okay, give me a 5-minute video from this 20-minute video, from this 20-minute source video. Give me a 5-minute video which I can share with Instagram to show my audience this particular thing which I've spoken about, and it's going to go through my video. And again, it's because it has the transcript, it'll chop up my video into small segments. I can make it join it together as well, but I found that I do want a little bit of oversight into that, so I will take these segments, put it in DaVinci Resolve and manually join them. And if I want to ditch some segments, I'll just ditch it from there. That's my current workflow. Do you want to create the Twitter thread? No. And let's see, I think all the files should be generated. Let's check it out in the meantime. So you see it's come up with all of these files. Here we have the Instagram caption, LinkedIn post, YouTube description, processing meta. Let's see, I think I was supposed to also get a sort of knowledge graph. That was interesting. Yeah, the knowledge blog. It's asking me whether I want to create it. Let me create that now. And basically, for this knowledge blog, it is going to consult my blog writing agent. My blog writing agent is an expert at SEO, and it's an expert at synthesizing a rant and putting it into a nice structured format so that it's easy on the reader's intelligence, and makes everything nice and readable, structured. And yeah, so I have these different agents talking to each other. In between, it uses some Python scripts if necessary. Those Python scripts I commit separately. I create its own repo. So if, let's say, my content creator agent has some Python scripts, I would have put it in the content creator repo, and that potentially can become an app. So I leave room for that. And so now, since I've identified that I want to do that, I have encoded that information into my up and ass coding agent, which has not yet seen its first task, but I have to test it now. Basically, I've trained it on another web app I made, which has this local and production version of a map exploration app. And I took some time to get that structure down. And of course, I used AI, but I used Cursor at that time. And I've asked it to learn the structure from that. And then I've added some more nuance as to how we can go forward. And it's captured all of that information. And I should test that. Let's see how that goes. Meanwhile, back here, create blog file first. Yes. Okay. I guess it had some problem. At the knowledge blog, let's see how it looks. Okay, it's empty right now. Let's just wait till it's done. Okay, there we go. We've got our knowledge blog. Let us overwrite it, sure. And let's have a look at that once the file is generated. And of course, all of these, the generation of each of these files for each of the videos is not going to alter the actual agent. The agent, as I mentioned before, is the set of instructions and context files, which basically gives it information as to what has to be done, where things should go, what files should be accessed, what templates it should use, etc. The newsletter, let's skip that for now. I've also created newsletter scripts, etc. So the coffee ripeness mapping with RTK GPS, precision agriculture approach to harvest planning. Coffee plantations face a unique challenge, lacks precision or historical data, subjective assessment. Absolutely, it's got what I'm saying. It's sort of understood my message. The result is inefficient labor deployment, premature or delayed harvesting, etc. Hardware software setup, geomeasure, yes. GPS device correction network, indeed. SW maps, GPS fixed quality matters. This is brilliant, right? So it's able to get a lot of what I said into a nice structure, and it's given me this nice little blog which I can pretty much just copy paste, do a little bit of editing and put it up. And this is essentially my knowledge which has been distilled into a nice format which is readable. And yeah, it doesn't have the typical chat GPT like hooks. Like, it's not trying to sell you anything, it's just trying to matter of factly present information, but it is trained to put that information out there in a nice coherent way so that everything is nicely organized and the phrasing of the sentences are optimal, etc. So this is a very powerful use case for AI. And so you saw how my workflow involved just taking the video, and everything else was made on the local system. I just needed to approve its different steps. You can disable that as well, meaning you can just let it run by dangerously skipping permissions, as that command and mode setting is for Claude CLI. But I haven't used that yet. Perhaps once I get a little more familiar with the nuance of how this AI works, I might consider doing that. But yeah, this was a sort of a brief about this. As I said, I have a lot more functionality baked into this, but I just wanted to give you this structure of how I'm building agents right now with Claude CLI. So as I was saying, we have this Claude CLI which is running locally on my terminal. I create global agents which can be called from any directory in my system. Otherwise, if you instantiate agent, it will make all of those context files in the directory you're in while using the terminal. So I wanted to be agnostic of that because I want to use it potentially just by speaking to it. That'll be the next development. I'm thinking about Whisper Flow, which is something you should consider, which I've seen to be useful for this kind of stuff. I've not used it myself, but yeah, that seems to be the way to go. Basically, you speak whatever you want, and I should be able to run things in the background. So we have the Claude CLI, the global agents, which are Git tracked. Each of these agents have a specification of how to reference files. Basically, it's the folder structure of its output. Any in-between files which require connecting to Python, it spits it out as a JSON file, and then the scripts know to use those JSON files, do some transformation, JSON files or video or any other kind of files pretty much, and do the transformations, put it back, and then there's this handover happening of control from the Python scripts to this. And of course, the Python scripts, all of these Python repos have their own virtual environments. So we make sure to contain the packages in their own nice little separations so that we don't clutter up our main system Python, our global Python environment. All of that is encoded into my Apana's coding agent. So yeah, basically, as you get new and better nuance about your system, you just outsource that remembering and execution of that task to a particular agent, and you ask these agents to talk to each other to understand how to go about things. And so I am open to potentially teaching this or helping you set up these AI agents. I am thinking about a consulting kind of gig for this. I have spent a lot of time playing around with AI, and so far this is brilliant. Claude CLI is great, but it's not. It doesn't have image generation capability. I think ChatGPT is still good for that. So what I would do is I just take this transcript, put it into ChatGPT. In ChatGPT, I made a GPT for generating YouTube thumbnails. So I'm going to take the thumbnail from that. But yeah, the idea was to sort of boil all of these AI agents into one that I could use right now. Otherwise, there's too many AI agents there. You have the Cursor, you have ChatGPT, you have Claude, you have Gemini, all of these other ones. All of them come at a subscription cost, and I don't want to be paying for everything. So if I was to use just one, I think yeah, Claude CLI is the way to go. It has a generous token limit, and right now in this Christmas season, the last week of December, they've given sort of unlimited usage. So that's nice. Otherwise, I was hitting rate limits, but the rate limits reset every 5 hours, so that's good as well. What else is there to talk about? I think that's about it for now. Get in touch if you want to know more about this, and I do foresee sharing more such videos about the workflow. And thanks for watching. Definitely don't be intimidated by the CLI. Give it a go. It should be great. Check out this video by Network Chuck on YouTube. I think that kind of tipped my inspiration in favor of learning Claude CLI, and it's definitely been worthwhile. So yeah.